guys, Amanda here. I made this cherry blossom card the other day and I had so much fun that I decided to make a video and share it with you guys. I'm going to start off with some light pink and craft cardstock to cut out the flowers and the branches. I'm using the Spellbinders cherry blossom die set for this. If you don't have a die cut machine, there are a ton of cherry blossom PNG files that you can find by doing a Google image search. I made sure I chose the lightest pink cardstock that I had, so later when I add the darker pink to the center, it will really pop. You could also use white cardstock and add some light pink shading to the petals. I'm cutting out a bunch of extra branches because I'm going to be stacking them on top of each other to make them more sturdy. I wanted to make these a little bit darker, so I went in with some Walnut stain distress ink. I was originally going to ink all of the layers, but I decided to be lazy and just do one each since the bottom layers will be hidden and you won't be able to see them. You could skip this step and it would still look great. There are so many different shades of brown cardstock out there, you don't have to use craft, and you could always use colored pencils for this step. It's time to layer these on top of each other. And the fastest way that I found to stick these together is by using an inexpensive tape runner. A glue stick or a small amount of liquid adhesive would also work. Stacking these together is totally optional. I just wanted them to be strong enough for the flowers, and I actually find this sort of thing super satisfying, so I had fun. I stacked 4 of them in this video, but it really depends on the thickness of the cardstock you're using. Cherry blossoms are very special to me. They were in a super vivid dream I had like 10 years ago, and it's always stuck with me. The dream really shifted my outlook on life, so whenever I see cherry blossoms, I'm reminded of it and it makes me happy. Okay, after those are all inked up, I'm moving on to the flowers. I'm putting these on the back of a post-it note so they stay put. I recently picked up this We Are Memory Keepers QuickStik craft tool, and it's pretty helpful for picking up small things like these. Once those are all on there, I take an old inexpensive paintbrush and some worn lipstick distress ink. Making sure my paintbrush is straight up and down, I pounce the brush in the very center of the flower. It doesn't need to be perfect, just try to focus on the middle so it's significantly darker than the outer petals. Once I finished those, I thought I would add some Perfect Pearls pigment powder for a little something extra. To apply this, I'm taking an old fluffy brush and buffing it onto each flower. Off camera, I did do a few light mists of water over the flowers to help set the perfect pearls. Next, I'm taking a gold metallic pen and adding some little dots in the center. And when that dries, I go in with a gold glitter gel pen. I think a yellow gel pen would look really cool for this too. I'm going to do this to all of my flowers. Now it's time to make the moon. For this, I'm taking some Fossilized Amber Distress Oxide ink. I'm only adding a light layer so the yellow isn't super overpowering. I don't want to blend this too much because I kind of liked how it looked with it being uneven. I didn't want it to be super solid. Once I'm happy with it, I take a circle die and cut it out. I did this last to avoid dark lines around the circle because I wanted the edges to be soft looking. After I cut that out, I decided to add some perfect pearls to it as well. Now on to the fun part, adding some dimension to the flowers. I had so much fun doing this step. So I'm taking the foam insert from my mini Misti stamping tool and I'm putting the flowers on it. Any kind of semi-soft surface would work for this. I'm taking a large ball stylus and pressing it down in the center of the flowers. I love how these look. You can see by doing this, it creases in between each petal and it just looks so neat. This is such a simple step, but I think it makes all the difference. After those are all done, I'm going to work on the sky. In my dream, the sky was purple, so that's what I wanted to do for this card. To do this, I'm going to use Desi Concord Distress Ink and light purple cardstock. In the original card I made, I used white cardstock, but I found it much quicker to start off with a purple base. With my ink blending tool, I sort of mark around where I want the moon to go so I know where to stop blending. I want to give the illusion of light coming off the moon, so I only want a little bit of ink there. For this effect, it's important to make the sky darker as you move away from the moon. Just like with the moon, I'm not blending this out super well because I think it gives the look of depth and it sort of reminds me of clouds. Once I have that all done, I'm going to add some dimension to the moon with some scraps of fun foam that I had. I just adhere this with some strong double-sided tape. Now it's time to assemble. First thing I did was connect a smaller branch to the larger one. There is a designated spot for this, which makes it really easy. I added some multimedia matte adhesive to them and then added a flower to help everything stay together. I made sure to add plenty of glue without adding too much. Nothing worse than glue oozing everywhere you don't want it. I'm just randomly placing flowers around. I did kind of have an idea of where I wanted them to go from the original card I made. It's always good to plan out where you want things to go before you stick them down. Before I glued everything to the background, I decided to add some little white dots to give the effect of stars. I didn't want to do ink splatter because I was feeling lazy, and that method is awesome, but so messy. Sequins or Nouveau crystal drops would be great for this as well. Once I'm happy with the background, I glue everything down. I used multimedia matte for the moon and then took some double-sided tape and adhered the background to a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of black cardstock. Next, I'm taking some foam squares and sticking them to the back of the cherry blossoms to give them some dimension. I think this step is pretty important, but you could skip it if you'd like. After I got the branches stuck down, I glued a few scattered cherry blossoms directly to the card. I thought this was a really sweet touch. I love how it looks like they're floating away. Once it's all put together, I trim anything that's hanging over the edge and adhere the card to a white 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch note card. I sped this video up and trimmed it down quite a bit to keep it on the shorter side, but if you have any questions, you can comment down below. I really love how this turned out. I kept it fairly simple and decided not to add a sentiment to the front of the card to keep the focus on the flowers. If you don't have a lot of these supplies, that's okay. You can just use what you already have. Colored pencils and watercolors are great substitutes for the distress inks. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to stick around for more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe. If you decide to make a similar card, I would love to see it. You can find me on Instagram, which I will link below. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.